Independence Day. What's it mean to you? Think about this. I was told over the years by some special mentors of mine that were at least 25, 30 years older than me. And it was to the point in my life that I was going through a divorce. I was going through a business transition. And I was a single parent. I was scared, man. I was scared. I started thinking about myself as a loser. I couldn't keep a marriage together. My business, even though I was very successful, I wasn't good enough for the leadership. They looked at my personal life versus my career. They just wanted to trade the top guy, like sports. Why do people get traded? For more value, more players. And it's risky to let go of a diva. They don't know what the diva's going to do. Make it better, and then sometimes in sports it's best to have a change. And that change comes with a better ownership. It comes better with a coach. It comes better with players. I mean, we all know. So Independence Day is coming up, and I started thinking about my Uncle Frank, who was really a distant cousin, but he mentoring me in some of the worst times of my life. As I mentioned, I was going through a divorce. My father was divorcing me in the business. He was divorcing me as a son. I was going through a marriage divorce. I was stripped from my kids as a united family, traditional family, and he would just keep pounding on me. And he was in Chicago and I was in St. Paul, and I would visit him just to be in his presence. I would drive to Chicago from St. Paul, which was at that time was maybe 6.5 hour drive. And I'd spend 2-3 days there. It was like a retreat for me. And I had relatives in Chicago. I had friends, I had clients. So it was an easy deal. And my son was going to Madison. So I spent a lot of time in Chicago because I was alone. I was lonely. Uncle Frank would look at me and say, "You don't know how lucky you are. Your age," which I was in my mid-30s, late 30s, that your life is all in front of you. And you have two things that I've been striving for all my life, and ultimately this should be your goal. And I said, "What's the goal?" Independence and freedom. That's right, independence and freedom. And what he meant was, Rock, I'm stuck with a family business. I'm stuck with a family. I'm stuck, not in a negative way, in a marriage. You got the opportunity to exercise your goals, your aspirations. You have a clean slate. Because my kids were already, in a way, leaving the household. And I was single for 5-10 years. I put all my time into the business and my kids. I didn't have time to date. I didn't have time. I was too fearful. I was too fearful that everything was going to come to an end. No one loved me. I was never good enough. And as I mentioned, besides the divorce of the marriage, my father was letting me go. The business was letting me go. My kids, I had to fucking set up appointments and visitation with the kids through the court. So why am I saying this at age 71? Because at age 21, my dreams were marriage, a career, and raising kids. Within 15 years, it was all gone. Even though I was on track. So why am I talking like this? At age 71, and independence and freedom is around the corner. 4th of July. Understand that I was lucky I didn't have to go to Vietnam like my brother. And the neighborhood kids that were killed in Vietnam or injured were part of the Agent Orange Paul fucking disaster in Vietnam. I was before all that. So people that were just a few years older than me were in Vietnam. I was out there fucking around at college, sports, with the buddies. Then I had to settle down. So that independence, if I had to do it all over again, everybody, you don't understand what independence means until you really experience it. Here in the United States especially. And we have multiple wars going around in the world. and people making these huge decisions. Our future, I'm talking about the United States, of our future. Now that my kids are in their 40s, with children, with spouses, it's them if they're independent and free. I know they're not. My father's going to be 100. No way does he think he's independent and free. In fact, he's scared, just like I would be, knowing that you could die any day. That's your future, death. So independence and freedom, it's a big celebration. So that's what you really have to look at, how lucky you are. I'm sitting there thinking about all the grind, all the times that I was in that fucking foxhole and I had to get out and fight. There was nobody behind me, nobody leading me, except God. So once you realize freedom and independence you have as a single person, once you grab it back, I'd enjoy it, man. And that's what my first marriage did for me was, Rock, fuck you. The only thing I want is your money. I don't want your family. I just want your money. Fast forward 40 years. Think she's free and independent? No. Wasted 40 years of bitching and moaning. I gained it all. And when I announced my second marriage to my mother, I'll never forget her face. My mother, that was 29, 2010, and she died 10 years later. But her first reaction when I announced with my second wife, after 22 years of being independent and free and fucking enjoying it, I took the plunge again thinking that my God gave me this woman. And together, we're going to build a life together, just the two of us. My mother looked at me, and I'll never forget her face. Walk in the door in Florida. She's in the condo. I said, we're getting married. We brought a cake, I think, or something like that to celebrate. I opened the door, and she announced to my parents that we're engaged. And my mother looked at me and said, I'm leaning in. She said, no. What the fuck? I really think my mother liked any woman that would date any of her sons. She was unconditional. Loved everybody. I think she looked at her life and thought, fuck, Rock, you're giving up your independence and your freedom. I just did not look at the red flags, everybody. I want you to understand that you have to really look at your life. Really understand who can you really trust. The older you get, the more you realize colors show. I still see my therapist and I talk to him and talked about certain things, and then it pops in my head because I take notes when I meet with him too. We meet over coffee, we talk, but I've been seeing him over 20 years. And sometimes things will click. I take a note, and I'm a bullet guy. I'll journal and put bullets, and then it brings it back. One of the biggest things is to learn how to say no. Learn how to say no. Because when you learn how to say no, there's always a yes elsewhere. That yes elsewhere brings you peace, brings you independence, brings you empathy and compassion. The older I get, I realize how much freedom I have. Because now that I'm a single person, after 25 years of marriage and my age is 70s, I'm in my 70s, my kids are close to 50. I've told all my kids, I'm close to 80 and 100 than I am to 50, so don't count on me. Solve your problems. Everyone's got problems. I've said this 100 times on my videos. You have to think for yourself. You have to take yourself into account. You only have one life, it's you. Besides your physical health, because you're going to get aches and pains like I do, it's your mental health. And this is where I really realize my 10 brothers and sisters' effect of mental capacity. I'm not saying that anybody's crazy. I'm saying the dysfunction in our family, our expectations that our parents were God, it's not true. It's just a myth. And then if you get a spouse involved, look back. Especially you divorced and potentially divorced in the near future, or gone through a divorce, or planning a divorce. It's 50 to 80%, even worse now. And how about all the people that cheated on people that stuck in the family because it was cheaper to keep him or her? Think about it. Money is more powerful than family today. If you're on YouTube, like 115 million growing, I'm just talking about the truth, man. I'm not a therapist. I just went through experience. I'm sure you've heard of Dr. Laura. Dr. Laura is, I believe, is a therapist. Her audience is heavy women. They talk and talk and talk. I'm giving you experiences, not theory, because I had to go learn on my own, just like everybody else. You're going through shit. Everyone goes through something. It's how you adapt, how you strategically make your moves. I think there's a movie that's out called Tom Cruise, All the Right, something like that. I didn't make all the right moves. I look back 50 years. When I was 21, I decided not to go back to my original college. After sophomore year, I said, you know what? I called my father, actually, and I said, you know, Dad, I'm going to go back to college, not knowing if I was or not. And I'm coming back from her, and then I'm not going to return to this college. I'm going to go to the University of Minnesota versus a small private school that I went to. That was one thing at 21. I was still living at home, paying rent. I was working for my father. I was terrible in production. We were a converter or die cutter for 3M company, and we did millions and millions of parts and millions of dollars, 3M company. And my father was an inventor of multiple processes back in actually started in the 60s, and then I got there in 75. So it was a big business. We had 350 employees. But what I observed was this is fucking big business. This is big business. And I didn't realize the kind of money they were generating, which was very profitable. And my dad had a partner. So at 21, I was going back to school. I promised myself I was. Number two, I got a shot at being my father's right-hand man, which was very special because the top 4 of my brothers and sisters did not want that position. I took it. I think he knew that I had talent. I might be the closest thing to executing his vision, his legacy. I was all in, man. I was drinking the fucking Kool-Aid as partner because I saw it. I said, holy shit, these guys. Let's face it, I wanted to be a millionaire, a multi-millionaire. I didn't know what cash meant. I didn't know what assets meant. I didn't learn a P&L till later in life, and margins, and so on. The third item was when my father approached me and says, you know, Rock, you should get married because I got a duplex that you should invest in. But if you get a duplex, you should marry your high school sweetheart. So that was my visions at 21. At the same time, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm working many hours observing. Then I went back to college. That was 1975. I had 2 years underneath me. I graduated my undergrad in 1981. So it took me about 8 years to finish my college education and get a degree. And I was proud of that because I was the only one of the 11 kids to get it. And I didn't know if it was going to help me or not. In fact, I don't think anybody was like, oh, Rock's going to college. No, I don't think there was that. And don't forget, I ended up getting married, buying a duplex, and having 3 kids by the time I graduated, 1981. My daughter was born in 82. So I had the 2 boys. And I remember my mother and father and my grandmother, I think, attended my graduation. I know my mom was really proud. I still got the pictures of her smile. My dad, it was expected. Dad's standard was excellence, not be good and do good. No, it was beyond that. And it was his excellence. The expectation was compounded, especially for me because I was his successor. That was his plan. I was his successor. It wasn't easy. I was under the microscope by everybody, not only my father. I got more reinforcement and empowerment from the clients because they saw that Rock's got talent. Rock's going to be the guy. I remember 3M guys telling me that, Rock, man, you got a gold mine here, man. Don't fuck it up. This is the place to be. And they were working at 3M. I thought, oh, wow, they're working at 3M. They got it made. No, they don't. You're working for a public company. You could get fucked. You're not independent. You're working for somebody, no matter what you do. Very few people become entrepreneurs. Very few. My analogy is sports. You might make it to the pros and get drafted 10%, maybe less, But how many really make it to the big show? Very few. Very few. And that's how I looked at myself. I got to the big show alone because people were tearing me down. And that's where Uncle Frank comes in. Everybody seemed like they were after me to tear me up, to make me not only fail, make sure I fail. He encouraged me, empowered me. He educated me. It was almost like, if I had to do it all over again, this is what I would have did. For me to have the opportunity to do it alone, that was huge. Because you can get stuck with the wrong horse. And if you get stuck with a support group that is fucking trying to kill you. That's why I watch 20, 48 hours and Dateline. I don't want to be part of that. That's why I don't mind living alone. And I am very well prepared for if I get sick or I leave the country. I'm talking from sickness to death. I got a backup plan. And none of it is family. None of it. Because I don't want to bring a burden to anybody. When I got married the second time, my dad was my best man. That's right, my dad. He was never a best man in his lifetime, my understanding, from his relatives. So I'm very proud of that. At the same time, I didn't want to burden my 3 kids and burden anyone to travel because I married in Florida. So I only invited people from around the area, local. And I would say most of them were in their 80s. Seriously, I was in my 50s. Yeah. I didn't want to be. So I know what it's like to burden people. And that's what's going on in my family now. People are looking at charities, they're looking at obedience, they're looking at loyalty, they're looking at trust. And you know what? It's all down to money. Manipulation. My father and my grandfather, when we would play cards, there was a saying, once you're out, you're out. There was no co-signing, there was no loaning money at the... We would go say, go cry. Go cry. It was a fucking beatdown. Once you're out, you're out. Well, you know what? That's control bullshit. I remember raising my kids, as a single parent, as a single father, because I would tell my kids, hey, listen, I'm not your friend. I'm your dad. I would get kickback once in a while. Oh, you're trying to control us. Oh, I hated that. Because I knew my dad controlled everything and everyone. And that's when I started breaking away. When I realized that, fuck, man, no one's going to control my mind. This is not a cult. The Catholic Church, even though I've been faithful, and I drank that Kool-Aid for quite a while too. It's just different. And here I'm on YouTube talking about this, about Independence Day. What's it mean to you? Most of my uncles, I think they're all dead. They fought in World War II. Brother fought in Vietnam. He was in Vietnam for less than a year, but he made it back. Just think about Vietnam, everybody. I don't know how old you are. What's interesting, I look at metrics of my audience is 45 plus. 45 plus. I would say men over 90% for sure, because I get the comments and so on. And then I have 58% of my audience is 45 and older. I try to express that I don't want you to survive. I want you to thrive. But the only way you're going to thrive is to make decisions yourself. Have goals, have aspirations, and meet those. You become in your 70s like I am. It took me about 3 to 4 years to really start saying, what am I going to do next? Because I achieved everything I wanted to achieve in so many ways. Financially, I became independent. It gave me freedom. I travel where I want. I decide what I want. I invest where I want. That includes emotionally, mentally, financially. I'm not taking shit anymore from anybody. That's freedom, man. That's independence. I know, being raised in a large family, I'm not breaking the rules. Rules suck. What rules? Fuck. My kids are saying the same thing, so guess what? I'm happy by saying no. 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 Yes. 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 Big difference. Big difference when you could do that. That's independence. That's freedom. My goal is just observing the wars around the world and our President Trump making decisions for our future, which is to save us, to save the United States. Financially, physically, like he says, keep America strong. Now, a lot of people say, oh, fuck you, Rock. No, it doesn't matter what you say. It's their own opinion. That's the beauty of freedom in the United States. We got our own freedom. Only United States. I got my freedom in my family. Within my tribe of our family, then my mini tribe of my 3 kids. Their kids. It's next generation. But for me to be able to express myself and put it on YouTube, it's evergreen. I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm here to say, go for it. If I can educate you and give you hope, because hope gives you opportunities. And you have to have confidence in yourself that you could achieve what you're trying to achieve. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least you have an exit plan or a plan B or whatever it is. But there's only so much time in the world, and we don't know how much time we have. I don't know. Just because my parents have age 90 plus doesn't mean I'm going to live to my 90s. It doesn't mean that. I'm happy where I'm at right now. I'm not going backwards. That's independence. If I want to go to a hockey game, I go. If I want to watch a hockey game on television, I watch. Do I like being alone? I actually like the solitude. It gives me a lot of options. I'm here alone now in my car after I bowled a couple games. I'm there not for score. I'm there for precision. I'm there for strategy. I'm there for fun. You meet people. You see these young kids, and I am so happy to see mothers, fathers, and relatives showing their kids a good time in bowling. That's the best. Then you got crabby old guys that are saying this is etiquette, trying to tell a 4-year-old to stand behind the line until you're ready or whatever. I mean, come on. I'm not going to say any people. I look at them and go, what the fuck? I'm glad I'm not that way. It's all the stress for, man. Forget about it. To me, just talking about having the opportunity to call my therapist or go to the bank or carrying cash and giving away things for the homeless and giving clothes away for people that are going to be able to use them, or planning my trip back to Vietnam. Rock, why Vietnam? Because I can. I'm independent. I'm free. It's going to stop me. Plus, they're waiting for me. They want ideas. They're young. You're youthful. They're looking for solutions. And what I like about the Vietnamese especially is they're so traditional. They're just hard workers. And don't forget their history. They have riots and all this shit like we do. What about the wars? Will that ever happen again, what they've already gone through? Talk about first generation. 110 million people are under age 40? I mean, come on. That's why I feel inspired walking the streets of Vietnam. So that's kind of my deal. Independence and freedom is the 4th of July. And the 4th of July, we were very... that was our busy time in business, by the way. With my mind, here in the automotive industry. So we were working maybe the day before, half a day on the 4th of July. And what would you do? Go to a parade, go look at the fireworks. Guess where my mind was? On work. So now I want my kids to say Happy Independence Day. That's all. FaceTime. And I know they're going somewhere with their kids, my grandchildren. That's all I care about. They got their problems. They got their issues, I'm sure. Mine are all exposed because, once again, I'm independent and free. What are they going to do? Stop me? Stop me from talking about the truth? Stop me from in everyone. There's hope out there. Go out and take it. If you're going through a divorce or you're going through a breakup or you're going through a lost job or if you're going a financial problem, there's a solution, man. You just got to think it through. Don't count on anybody because no one's going to come through the way God and you are going to come through. People will take you down, or especially if you're successful. If you're successful, the more you hear about fuck you, Rock, the more I go, happy person. Think about how unhappy people are. I'm trying to take it to the next level. Every time. When I see Dr. Craig, I'm lifting up from A to Twilight Zone. We talk about positive things, negative. Do good deeds. Be a happy person. Show people happiness, joy. Independence Day, you better thank God you got it. United States, and I've been pretty much everywhere. There's no bucket list for me anymore. It's all done. It's all been achieved because I had a plan. Even if when I was married, I still did it. If I had to bring my kids, I brought my kids. I did things with my kids. In fact, when I hear my kids tell me, Dad, we're going to Mackinac Island. Dad, we're going to Disneyland. Dad, we're going to Italy. Dad, we're doing this. Dad, we're showing these colleges. I did all that with my kids. I encouraged them. Example. Now I see my grandkids going to college. Great colleges. If I couldn't do. And that's how I feel about generational successes. The more independence, the better. More freedom. And show their kids. I don't know if you all know that I have a memoir out. The book is called They Named You Right. It's all the good, the bad, and the ugly. I met the Pope. I've been to Europe. I've been successful, sold multiple businesses, been through divorce. There's the 10 Commandments plus my Rocks Diamonds. It's all in there. Now my second book is coming out. So Independence Day is a big deal. Big deal not only for our country, individuals. It's really big for me because it really means a lot. And actually, it goes back in memories of my uncles, Purple Hearts, my brother in Vietnam. I'm involved with the Vietnam Dove Fund, which is all about friends of the war in Vietnam. They call it the American War. That they have special funds to help people 100% in Vietnam. Education, eye care, Agent Orange injuries, everything. It's beautiful. And these are Vietnam vets that created this because they knew when they were in Vietnam, in battle, that it wasn't right. War wasn't right. We'll put all that on the leadership, not on our veterans. Our veterans are fucking heroes, man. On both sides. So that's my explanation for independence and freedom. I love our flag. I love our beautiful flag. I also love the other countries that really care about their people. And that's Vietnam. It's unbelievable. When you have independence and freedom, you're free of bitterness, resentment, jealousy, envy, addictions. I see it all, man. I see it all. And I feel sorry for these people, including my family, including friends, what they go through. The losses, the death, of regret, of not saying sorry or no forgiveness, and the regrets. What regret do I have? Regret I have is I picked the wrong horse in a few areas, but I learned from all of them. Okay, I learned from all of them, and that's trying to tell my audience or share to give you hope that you can get through this. But you got to have a plan, and it takes time. And it's baby steps. Baby steps. I wasn't here, in three years. No, I remember it all started after high school and say, oh my God, I got to do something with my life. I picked the right college, by the way. The first one and the second one. Why? People, teachers, mentors. So, okay, Independence Day. Go for it. I truly appreciate my listeners. I truly appreciate the people that consider just doing the right thing and knowing that you could be independent and free without a spouse, without a family, without a addiction, without toxic friends. You can do all that shit alone. But your God is there, man. Your God is there. So I'll talk to you soon. This is Rocco, checking out.